Manav was waiting for his turn to go on stage. He was to deliver a speech. He succeeded in becoming a gold medalist in his postgraduate studies in journalism. Now we would like to call Mr. Manav to deliver his speech. The announcer made the announcement. He got upon the stage. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Manav Menaka. I know it sounds weird. Menaka is the name of my mother. I'm here today because of her. She has dedicated her whole life for me, but she's not here today. She's still around, but I told her not to come. She doesn't have the courage to face me or the society, but she's a very courageous woman. She has always been courageous. She worked hard to pay my fees and for my other expenses. She feels that, and she felt, and she still feels that I'm her work. She's not here today because society wouldn't accept her, just like how I used to be. I hail from Ganj, Kolkata. My mother is a sex worker. For the next few seconds, there was pin-drop silence in the hall. The Vice Chancellor was looking at Manav with dismay. But Manav continued. Life pushed her to strive and struggle in Ganj as a sex worker. But I'm not ashamed of her anymore. In fact, today I'm so proud of her. No warriors on earth has the courage that she had in raising me. This success is actually hers. And an award or a medal like this is too insignificant to appreciate her courage and struggles. I love my mother. I love her very much. Manav ended his speech. He couldn't speak anymore. After the event, he planned to fly back home. He reached home in the evening. His mother welcomed him. He could see confusion, happiness, and fear in her face. He took his bath and sat on the dining table. She was about to serve him a special lunch when he held his hand. She was terrified. Is she still disgusted with him? She couldn't guess anything. Manav woke up. He took the spoon from her and served her instead. He even fed her. She felt touched. She had always tried her best not to touch him. She always had the worry that she might have any diseases that she might spread to him. She had not cuddled him enough or kissed him enough. She was innocently believing whatever that was told to her regarding sexually transmitted diseases. She was only a sex worker, but she didn't have any sex education. She came from a middle-class family in Kolkata. Her father was a government school teacher. Her mother was a housewife. They lived a happy life. She was very fond of mangoes. She remembers how the father would buy mangoes for her every day during the summer. Her mother told her once that they named her Menaka after the name of the Apsara Menaka, since she was such a beautiful child. Once they went to the famous Kali temple in Kolkata for Durga Puja celebration. They had a great time. She had a great time especially. On the way home, Providence was cruel enough to snatch both of her parents' life in a road accident. She remembered that day very well. She couldn't even cry. She was only 15. She was clueless. Her world suddenly became so dark. She couldn't see any light anymore. The headmaster of the school where her father used to work offered to adopt her. She was adopted. The headmaster's wife was happy. She was happy to have her as a daughter, as she had only one son. But the son didn't like Menaka. He didn't like the attention that she was getting from his parents. He couldn't see her as his sister. One day, she accidentally went to his room while he was changing, not knowing that he was there. He immediately created a big story saying that she tried to harass him sexually. He blamed her and said that she had bad intentions in her heart. His parents were dumbstruck, not knowing who to believe, and they just let go. 1 week after that, when she was having her afternoon nap, he slipped in some pictures of porn stars into her book. It was her English literature book. She didn't know that this happened. She passed up the book to her teacher the next day to submit her homework. The next day, the parents were called to come to school. They were told about the story, and at this time, she was sent off both out from the house and the school. Her new parents chased her away. She only had a bag of clothes. She took a bus, got down at a place, looked like a village, talked to some strangers, asking for a job. She was sent to a house, a big house. She was told that she can work as a cleaner there. She had no idea that it was a prostitution house. She was given a room, some fancy dresses. Every night, she started having strangers walking into the room. Every night was full of fear and tears. She tried escaping many times but failed. Soon she was impregnated by one of her customers, not sure whom. Her mistress gave her two options. One, to abort the child, or to give birth to the child, take care of the child, and continue her work. She said this one sentence: "If you go out, nobody will accept you and your child. But if you stay here with your child, at least we will look at you and your child as humans." After a few months, she gave birth to a child in the prostitution house itself. Apart from being a sex worker, she was also a cleaner there. Manav grew up thinking her mother is a cleaner, not knowing that she is a sex worker. They were renting a house nearby the prostitution house. But when he was 12, one of his classmates told him that his mother is a prostitute. He was terrified. He couldn't believe it. Manav went back home and asked his mother if she is a prostitute, to which she honestly admitted. Manav literally vomited. He couldn't take it. He just ran away from the house. Menaka was so worried that something might happen to her child, or how if he didn't come back. But to her relief, he did come back in the night. Manav was a bright child. He knew that he has to make his life different. He didn't want to end up like his mother, being a worker or a cleaner. He wanted to study more. He wanted to study further. So he asked his mother so that he could study elsewhere, where people wouldn't know that he's her son, the son of a sex worker. To which Menaka agreed. She started making arrangements for him to study in a school in Kolkata which had hostel facilities. She had to work harder to pay his fees. He could come back weekly, but he wouldn't. She went to Kolkata every week and they will meet secretly, somewhere near the school. He would give some reasons or excuses and just run back to hostel. He hated to meet her, but she was happy that she could at least see him for a few minutes. Manav was a clever child. After high school, he got a scholarship in one of the prestigious universities in the south of India. Menaka was so proud of him. In contrast, the very thought of his mother disgusted Manav. He had a very good friend there near his university, so he would usually spend his time with his friend's family. He only had brief conversations with his mother. One day, the hostel principal called him and gave him a check. It was from an insurance company. The education policy that his mother has been paying for him all this while has matured. He can have the money now. And the amount was quite big to his surprise. Since he had full scholarship, he didn't need to have the money or to use the money. He also gave another envelope with some cash. That was the money that his mother has been sending him all this while monthly. She told the principal to keep the money and give it to him once he finishes the studies. He had a good rapport with his mother, it seems. Unlike Manav, he adored her. In silence, he knew why Manav doesn't go back home. He knew where he came from. He knew everything about Manav and the mother. He knew that Menaka was the girl who was only 17, not knowing the father of the child when she gave birth to her. He knew how this mother has struggled physically, mentally, and emotionally to raise him. Who could be more courageous than a single mother who is a sex worker? Only her body has been damaged, not her soul. She's a pure soul, he told Manav. What the principal said stirred his mind, put him in extreme guilt. He prepared himself for the ceremony the next day, keeping his mother in his mind. He regretted for telling his mother not to come for the ceremony. After the ceremony, he went back home. Now he's there eating his mom's cooking, determined to change her life, and his as well, determined to bring the life that has been missing from her life all this while. She is his worshipable goddess Menaka.